Welcome to History Explained, where we illuminate the past to better understand our present. I'm your guide to your daily journey through the past to empower the future. Today is Wednesday, May 29, 2025. As we do every Wednesday, we're exploring a major global event that shaped the course of world history. Today, we turn our attention to the fall of Constantinople on May 29, 1453, exactly 572 years ago today. This momentous event marked the end of the Byzantine Empire, the last remnant of the ancient Roman Empire that had endured for over 1,000 years, and established the Ottoman Empire as a dominant power bridging Europe and Asia. What makes the fall of Constantinople particularly significant is how it represents a pivotal transition between the medieval and modern worlds. The conquest not only reshaped the political map but also accelerated the Renaissance, transformed global trade routes, and marked the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's rise to become one of history's most powerful empires. To understand this watershed moment, we must first appreciate what Constantinople represented. Founded as Byzantinopolis in 330 CE by Emperor Constantine the Great, Constantinople had served as the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire for over 11 centuries. Strategically positioned at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, controlling the vital Bosphorus Strait, it was one of the world's greatest cities. By 1453, however, the once mighty Byzantine Empire had been reduced to little more than the city itself. Centuries of warfare, internal strife, and economic decline had gradually eroded Byzantine power. The empire that once controlled much of the Mediterranean world now consisted of a single, though still magnificent, city. The Ottoman Empire, by contrast, was in its ascendancy. Founded in the late 13th century, the Ottomans had spent nearly 2 centuries expanding across Anatolia and into the Balkans. By the mid-15th century, they controlled most of modern-day Turkey and significant portions of southeastern Europe. Constantinople had become an isolated Christian enclave within an expanding Islamic empire. The immediate catalyst for the siege was the accession of Mehmed II to the Ottoman throne in 1451. Only 19 years old when he became Sultan, Mehmed was determined to complete what his predecessors had attempted, the conquest of Constantinople. Taking this great prize would cement his legacy as one of history's greatest rulers. Mehmed's preparations were meticulous and innovative. He commissioned massive cannons, including the famous Basilica cannon designed by Hungarian engineer Orban. This enormous weapon, over 26 feet long and capable of firing 1,200-pound stone balls, represented cutting-edge military technology. The use of such artillery would prove decisive in breaching Constantinople's legendary walls. Mehmed also constructed a fortress on the European side of the Bosphorus to control maritime access to Constantinople. Combined with an existing fortress on the Asian side, this effectively blockaded the city from naval relief. He assembled a massive army estimated at between 80,000 and 100,000 men, supported by a fleet of over 120 ships. On the Byzantine side, Emperor Constantine XI Palaiologos faced an almost impossible situation. His treasury was nearly empty, his army numbered fewer than 10,000 men, and diplomatic efforts to secure Western European aid had largely failed. The promised crusade to save Constantinople never materialized, leaving the Byzantines essentially alone. The city's primary defense lay in its famous Theodosian walls, built in the 5th century. These double fortifications had protected Constantinople for over 1,000 years, withstanding numerous sieges throughout history. However, they had been designed for traditional siege warfare, not for the age of gunpowder artillery. The siege began on April 6, 1453, when Ottoman forces surrounded the city by land and sea. Mehmed's strategy involved constant artillery bombardment to weaken the walls, naval blockade to prevent supplies, and psychological warfare to demoralize defenders. The massive cannons began their methodical destruction of the ancient fortifications. The Byzantines mounted a determined defense despite being vastly outnumbered. Emperor Constantine XI personally participated in fighting, inspiring his soldiers through courage and dedication. The city's inhabitants joined the defense, understanding that their city's fall would mean the end of their world. One dramatic episode involved the Ottoman fleet's entry into the Golden Horn, Constantinople's protected harbor. The Byzantines had stretched a massive chain across the harbor mouth to prevent Ottoman ships from entering. In a brilliant tactical maneuver, Mehmed ordered his ships transported overland around the peninsula and launched into the Golden Horn behind the chain. As the siege progressed, constant artillery bombardment gradually weakened the city's defenses. The great walls began to crumble under relentless pounding from Ottoman cannons. Defenders worked desperately to repair breaches, but their resources were limited and numbers insufficient. The final assault began in the early hours of May 29, 1453. Mehmed launched a coordinated attack involving his entire army, with the elite Janissaries leading the primary assault on weakened wall sections. The fighting was fierce and desperate, with the outcome remaining in doubt for several hours. The turning point came when Ottomans discovered that a small gate, the Kirkoporta, had been left unlocked. Ottoman soldiers penetrated the inner wall and raised their flag from a tower. This sight demoralized remaining defenders and allowed larger forces to pour through the breach. Emperor Constantine XI died fighting, though his body was not immediately identified. Legend holds that he removed his imperial regalia and died as a simple soldier, determined that the last Roman emperor would meet his end with honor. His body was reportedly found later, identifiable only by purple boots marking his imperial rank. With the emperor's death and walls breached, organized resistance collapsed. After nearly 1,100 years, Constantinople fell to Muslim conquest. Mehmed II entered the city in triumph, fulfilling his dream of adding this great prize to the Ottoman Empire. The fall of Constantinople had profound and lasting consequences extending far beyond the immediate military victory. For the Islamic world, the conquest represented tremendous triumph. Mehmed II had succeeded where previous rulers had failed, establishing the Ottomans as the preeminent Muslim power. For Christian Europe, the fall was catastrophic. The last vestige of the Roman Empire had finally ended after over 1,400 years. The loss of this great Christian city generated fear about further Ottoman expansion and prompted calls for new crusades. The conquest had significant economic implications. Ottoman control of Constantinople meant control of crucial trade routes between Europe and Asia. This would eventually contribute to Western Europeans' search for alternative routes to Asian markets, leading to the age of exploration and European discovery of the Americas. The fall also had important cultural consequences. Many Byzantine scholars fled to Western Europe, bringing ancient Greek texts and knowledge preserved in Constantinople's libraries. This influx of Byzantine learning contributed significantly to the Renaissance, particularly in Italy. Under Ottoman rule, Constantinople experienced remarkable transformation. The Hagia Sophia was converted into a mosque, while new mosques, palaces, and public buildings were constructed. The city's population grew dramatically as people from across the Ottoman Empire settled there. The conquest marked a significant moment in military technology evolution. The successful use of large cannons demonstrated the decisive advantage gunpowder weapons provided in siege warfare. This lesson influenced other European powers to invest heavily in artillery and redesign fortifications. From a broader perspective, the fall represents a pivotal moment in the transition from medieval to early modern period. It symbolically marked the end of the Middle Ages and beginning of a new era characterized by gunpowder empires, global exploration, and the shift of European power from Mediterranean to Atlantic world. The conquest fulfilled an ancient Islamic prophecy attributed to Prophet Muhammad about Constantinople's eventual Muslim conquest. For Christians, particularly in Eastern Europe, the fall represented a profound crisis influencing Orthodox Christianity for centuries. As we reflect on this event, several themes emerge. It demonstrates how technological innovation can dramatically alter power balance, how established institutions can suddenly collapse when facing new challenges, and how single events can have cascading effects across multiple spheres. The fall of Constantinople illustrates the complex interplay between religion, politics, and culture in shaping history. While certainly a military victory, it was deeply meaningful in religious terms for both Muslims and Christians. The conquest represents both ending and beginning, the end of the Byzantine Empire and medieval period, but also the beginning of Ottoman dominance and contribution to Renaissance developments. The fall of Constantinople on May 29, 1453, stands as one of history's most significant turning points, when the medieval world gave way to the modern, when an ancient empire succumbed to rising power, and when world history was fundamentally altered. Thank you for joining us for this exploration of the fall of Constantinople. Tomorrow, we'll be back with our Cultural Insights episode where we'll be examining the tradition of medieval knighthood and its influence on European culture and values. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. What aspects of the fall of Constantinople do you find most significant? Let us know in the comments section below. For our members, this Sunday we'll have a special roundup of world events from the past week with additional historical context and analysis. We'll explore how current global developments connect to historical patterns of empire, conflict, and cultural transformation. Until next time, I'm your guide for History Explained, where we believe that understanding yesterday is the key to navigating tomorrow.